Just how good will they be? What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another video of Sports Talk Buffalo. Before we go any further, I want to remind you guys to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you guys never miss a video. I talk Bills, Sabres, and UB Bulls men's basketball and football right here on this page. Also, help support this channel by checking out some cool merch. The links are in the description below. Last season, I started off the Sabres season by making a very bold prediction that they would finish with 75 points. And while that might not seem like a lot of points, everyone in the entire NHL, including people in Buffalo, were saying that this has the potential to be an all-time bad roster. And I just didn't believe it. I didn't buy it. And that's why I made my bold prediction. And it turns out that my bold prediction was spot on the money. Not necessarily the record, but the exact amount of points that I believe the Sabres would get last season, 75, is what they ended up finishing with. Now, I missed a couple of player predictions, and I had no idea that Tage Thompson would come out of absolutely nowhere to explode onto the scene. But nonetheless, I was right in my prediction for the Buffalo Sabres, making my bold prediction. So this season, it's time for another bold prediction. The Buffalo Sabres, in Don Granato's second full season behind the bench, will take another giant leap forward. My prediction for the Buffalo Sabres this season is that they will finish, are you ready for this? With 94 points. And they will be in a battle for the very last playoff spot heading into the NHL playoffs. They will finish with a record of 41 wins, 29 losses, and 12 overtime losses. Now let's talk about why I believe the Sabres will be as competitive as I just stated. The first reason is, to end last season, the Sabres looked like a legitimate playoff team. They looked like a legitimate playoff contender, a threat in the NHL, and a team that was very much in the mix to win every single night. It was almost as if the light bulb had gone off for this Buffalo Sabres team, as in the last 2 months, they finished with a record of 16 wins, 9 losses, and 3 overtime losses. It's like the team figured out how to win in close games and blowout games and also against tough teams in the last 2 months of the season, and they were fantastic. I believe they're going to be able to carry that over into the start of this season and beyond, and be a very good team this season. Secondly, I believe that the Buffalo Sabres have upgraded their goaltending. And while the preseason hasn't looked like it so much for goaltender Eric Comrie, he is coming off of a very, very good season backing up Connor Hellebuck in Winnipeg. A season that saw him go 10-5-1 in his 16 starts, with a goals against average of 2.58 and a save percentage of a very, very strong .920. Now, my prediction for Comrie in this upcoming season is that he's going to be given every opportunity to be the Sabres starting goaltender, and he's going to do an okay job. An upgrade from last year, not a crazy good job, but an okay job. He's going to finish with a 2.79 goals against and a decent .908 save percentage. I think this is going to give the Buffalo Sabres quite a few more wins in his starts than we saw last season with the tandem of Dustin Tokarski and Craig Anderson. Speaking of Craig Anderson, I believe that he will have a bit of a bounce back season, as he is not going to be counted on as heavily this season and he will have a much smaller role being the backup to Eric Comrie, and that will see him have a little bit of a bounce back with a 3.01 goals against average and a 9.01 save percentage, which will again equate to a few more wins as the season progresses. Now, the big surprise, or not the big surprise, but the biggest surprise, which isn't a surprise if you've been watching the Buffalo Sabres and tracking their player development and growth, is the fact that both Jack Quinn and JJ Paterca both made it onto the opening night roster for the Buffalo Sabres. Now, as far as both of them go, I think that it is going to be Jack Quinn that has the biggest impact for the Buffalo Sabres. He scored more than a point per game in the AHL. He looked very solid in the preseason. He also looked very good in the few games that he had with the Buffalo Sabres last season. And I predict that he will be relatively in the colder running this year, and he will score a pretty good amount of goals, 16 goals, 22 assists for 38 points in his time with the Buffalo Sabres. I really think he's going to be a fantastic contributor, and I think he's going to be very, very dangerous on that Buffalo Sabres second power play. Another player that I really like coming into this season is, of course, Alex Tuch, who I think he will show everyone that he is a legitimate top line winger, and he will have career highs in goals with 24, in assists with 33, and in points with 57. I think Alex Tuch is very motivated to help this Buffalo Sabres team, his childhood favorite team, move on to bigger and better things after last season. I know he is eager to help them grow, and he wants to be one of the core players that is counted on as the season moves forward. And I think this season he shows how good he can really be. Now, of course, one of the forwards that is going to be crucial for the Buffalo Sabres' success is center Tage Thompson. He exploded onto the scene last year with 38 goals, 30 assists for 68 points in 78 games. And I think he continues that growth this season as he goes for 42 goals, 37 assists for 79 points, and solidifies himself as a legitimate top line center, number one center for the Buffalo Sabres. There's going to be no question that Tage Thompson is going to be one of the offensive leaders for this Buffalo Sabres team if they are going to be successful this season. And lastly, I believe that Rasmus Dahlin continues to solidify himself as a number one center for the Buffalo Sabres, a true number one overall pick, as not only does he continue to grow defensively and be more responsible in his own end, but also showing his incredible offensive prowess, scoring career highs, much like Alex Tuch, in goals, assists, and points. I got him pegged for 16 goals, 42 assists for 58 points this season, and he is also going to be crucial if the Sabres are going to have a very successful season. Now, while I believe the Sabres are in what looks like potentially the toughest division in all of hockey, I believe that they will take the next step and be a very good and competitive team this year. As I stated, winning over 40 games, having 94 points, and being in the playoff discussion to land that last wild card spot heading into the end of this season. That's going to do it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you guys never miss a video. Thank you all for watching. Have a fantastic week.